I was standing in the dust when the last wall fell. The sound was not dramatic. No crash worthy of cinema. Just a tired groan like a body giving up. The house my father built with his hands folded inward, and then it was gone. My husband did not look at me. He wiped sweat from his neck and said it like a fact, not a threat. I'll live with my parents, in my house. My mother-in-law did look at me. Her eyes were calm, practiced. She pointed at the rubble like it was proof of something. I had failed to learn. If you don't obey, get out. I asked one question, quiet, clean. Don't you know anything? No one answered. They never do when they think they have already won. That was the moment. Not when the wall fell. Not when the keys were taken. The moment was when I realized grief could be useful if I held it still. I called the police without hesitation. I met him when I was younger and softer, when love still felt like a promise instead of a negotiation. He was careful then, gentle with words. He spoke about family like a shield, about tradition like a rule book he never planned to follow himself. My father watched him closely. He always did that thing where he listened more than he spoke. The night before the wedding, my father handed me the property documents. The house was old, he said, but it was mine. No one could take it unless I let them. I laughed. I told him I trusted my husband. My father smiled and said nothing. Marriage changed the air. Not suddenly, gradually, like humidity. Requests came dressed as concern. Decisions came dressed as advice. His parents moved closer. Their opinions moved in with them. The house bothered them. Not because it was old, because it was mine. I noticed the first crack when he stopped asking. He started informing. He talked about renovations without drawings, about improvements without consent. He said demolition like it was a design choice. I said no. He smiled and said we would talk later. Later came with machines. I arrived to noise. Men I had never hired. Paperwork I had never signed. My husband standing where my father once stood, telling strangers what to destroy. I told him to stop. He said it was too late. I asked for permits. He said he had handled it. I checked my phone. No messages. No approvals, nothing. The foreman hesitated when I asked for documents. My husband stepped in. He always liked stepping in. I felt something settle in my chest. Not panic, precision. I walked away and made calls. The police came. They listened. They took notes. They asked for ownership. I handed them the documents my father gave me. The originals. The ones my husband did not know existed. Work stopped. My husband's face tightened. My mother-in-law began explaining loudly. I did not argue. I watched. That night, I did not cry. I made lists. I requested copies from the municipal office. No demolition permit. No transfer of rights. Forged signatures. A contractor paid in cash. A cousin's company. Familiar patterns. I filed a formal complaint. Property damage, fraud, illegal demolition. I informed the bank. The loan he took against a house he did not own froze overnight. I met a lawyer, a woman who listened without interrupting. She smiled when I told her I wanted everything done by the book, slowly. I gathered messages, voice notes. The casual way he admitted things when he thought I was tired. The threats framed as jokes. The control framed as care. My husband came back angry.
He accused me of humiliation.
Of betrayal. I said nothing. He left for his parents' house. He said it like a victory. I let him go. The investigation moved quietly. Inspectors visited. Statements were taken. The contractor panicked. People panic when they realize loyalty does not cover prison. Charges were filed. The day my husband was called in, he did not look strong. He looked confused, like someone who had followed a script and reached a page that was blank. He called me many times. I did not answer. The court order came next. A temporary restraining order regarding the property, compensation assessed, criminal proceedings initiated. His parents showed up uninvited. My mother-in-law stood in my doorway and spoke slowly, like she was teaching a child. Withdraw the complaint. I looked at her hands. Perfectly still. No. She raised her voice. She reminded me of family, of reputation. I reminded her of the law. She left shaking. The confrontation I had imagined never happened. No screaming, no dramatic confession. The real climax was procedural. A courtroom. A judge reading facts out loud. My husband sat behind his lawyer, smaller, quieter. When the verdict came, it did not sound like revenge. It sounded like consequence. He was ordered to pay damages. Criminal charges stood. The marriage dissolved on grounds of cruelty and fraud. The house could not be rebuilt the same way, but the land was mine, clean, untouched by lies now. I stood there again months later. Same spot, different air. I did not feel triumph. I felt space. My phone buzzed. A message from him. One line. I didn't think you would go this far. I typed back nothing. I built a new foundation. Not rushed, not loud. I hired my own people, signed my own papers. I planted a tree where the old door used to be. Sometimes I think about the moment he said he would live in his house. How sure he sounded. People mistake silence for weakness. They mistake patience for permission. I never needed to raise my voice. I just needed to remember who the house belonged to. And I did.